Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. Eclectic, beautiful, natural. Discover the work of woodcarver Leo Smith, inspired by the Winona River Valley. We'll show you southern Minnesota's murals, painted as part of the government's work program during the Great Depression. And Austin teenager Cale Ackerman proves he's a prodigy on the pipe organ. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. Winona woodcarver Leo Smith is well known in our area for the way his work encapsulates the natural beauty and cultural heritage of Minnesota. Leo has been carving for about 45 years. His art can be found all over the country in galleries, personal collections, and public displays. But chances are you'll run into it at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum, which is home to more than 400 of his carvings and located close to his Mississippi riverfront home. Let's take a peek into Leo's life as an artist.
One of my inspirations is the environment that I live in. Every place is beautiful, I guess, in some ways, but this particular river valley is a very dynamic, beautiful area. The idea that my work could be somewhat Minnesota-ish or regional, I think, is it's inevitable because I work within the milieu of the valley. My name is Leo Smith, and I'm an artist, a sculptor in wood. And I've been doing that for, let's see, about 45 years. The Mississippi is important to me in terms of one of my greatest inspirations. It flows by like a series of stills within a frame of a movie. Each still, each frame is a little bit different than the previous. I see the river as a continuity. It tells a story. I think artists tend to be storytellers. I guess it's another way of telling a story is to visually tell a story. It's our hometown, we love it here, and it does reflect some on our cultural upbringing and our heritage of the area. I represent it by just reflecting what's around me, somewhat of as a mirror. I think there's something universal about water and nature. I do painted wooden pieces, I do natural wood pieces, I've done some bronzes in the past. I use a lot of native woods, walnut and pine and basswood. Each piece is kind of frozen in time. It's kind of like a still photo. It captures one moment. Yeah, folk art I think is mainly means work that the folk can identify with. My work has a certain amount of humor involved, and people do see that, and I'm very happy to hear that. The stuff is certainly tongue-in-cheek, I guess, in some ways. I'm very serious about my work, but there is a certain humor and irony that comes forward. I'm not always conscious of it until people see it, but yeah, there is that aspect of it. Visual hunting is, I guess, a way of describing that I'm always looking. I'm always looking for an inspiration. There's a certain sense of the anthropologist, and certainly the archaeologist in me. I'm making more art that's found object, more art that's related to just a found piece of wood or something. First time I ever got the idea that there was something in the wood. I was walking along the beach of an island in the Mississippi, and that was, I think, about 1970. And so I've been wandering the river in the valley for years, and I happened to be walking along on this island as we were talking about. And I dragged the piece of wood home to my cottage, or my home. And I went into Winona and bought one carving tool from a hardware store, and I used a regular carpenter's hammer, and I started chiseling out what I thought was extraneous to the image I had. It turned out to be an owl clutching a snake, and I put it up on the edge of the driveway, and somebody stole it. And somebody stole the piece, and it was like 9 feet tall. So I thought, well, that's a pretty overwhelming passion to want to steal something, you know. So I thought, well, if they'll steal them, maybe they'll buy them. A love of wood. I have a love of the wood and the woods. And woods speak to you in some ways. And it's warm, and it's sculptable, carvable, shapeable, and it smells good, and you know. When I'm working, I'm happy. I'm happy because my mind is completely occupied, my hands are occupied. I don't have to think about anything in the world except concentrating on this work, and it's a very nice zone, mental zone to be in. In many ways, I think you could say that it's a dialogue. It's a dialogue between me and my work. If you want to do something original, I think you have to be open to the idea of seeing how it evolves and develops. It's kind of like a curse. You've got this piece, and you've got to decide, you know, either you ignore it or you move forward and make something out of it. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with it, but I've got a general idea where I'm going, but I couldn't tell you how it's going to look in the end, but I want to be happy with it. And my motivation and the way I approach the work is really a confusing mystery. It's almost like a mission, as opposed to, it's a calling, it's a mission, it's kind of divinely directed in the sense of, it's kind of a spiritual relationship. My way a little bit. You can make a living in art, but it isn't easy.
Perfect.
Not many people can really have the wherewithal and the interest and the perspective to buy art. So it's a very difficult field. Oh man, I love it. Perfect.
Yeah, and it gives me room for text panel.
But there's a terrific validation in having somebody acquire your work and like your work. Having the privilege of being in the Minnesota Marine Art Museum in Winona, having the collection of our work there is a reward, because it's an honor that sometimes people don't have until after they're dead, if they have it at all. This piece right here is starting to light up beautifully. He's got this lit already.
Of course, they always look better when they're lit.
They look better in a museum too.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling. I am hoping for an emotional reaction to my work. I'm looking for that kind of a mystery in the work. When work is really going well, it suggests something bigger than your own small circumstance and time. I love my work because I'm serious about it, and the work speaks to that being alive, being stimulated by life. Well, it is astounding that sometimes I see that all this work came from myself. It's amazing that you can do that many pieces. It's rewarding to look back and see it as a reference of a point in your life. It is, it's quite astounding. And it's a miracle, it's kind of a certain miracle quality about it.
Look in any textbook and you'll notice the 1930s were largely defined by one term, the Great Depression. A quarter of the U.S. population was unemployed, including many artists. The government fought to change that with the introduction of the Works Progress Administration, commonly known as the WPA. Part of the WPA's mission, along with other work relief programs, was to commission artists to paint murals in public buildings. We found several of these murals in southern Minnesota, and many of them are still around today.
This is an art form that lasted. It's something that made an impact in each community. It added to artistic appreciation in every one of these communities. And really one of the goals of these New Deal Arts Project was to integrate the arts within the community. And I think it was very effective in that. During the Great Depression, the federal government created the New Deal in order to put the nation back to work, solve the great unemployment crisis, but then also to really make best use of each individual's labor, their skills, and their talents to benefit the United States. One of the government's largest social relief programs throughout the Great Depression was the Works Progress Administration, commonly known as the WPA. Within the WPA, they sponsored all sorts of different projects. They were building bridges, building buildings, and also creating artwork. Through all of the New Deal Arts programs, almost 250,000 different pieces of art were created. This added up to a sponsorship of $83.5 million and involved thousands of artists across the country. This was the first nationwide federal government sponsorship of the arts at such a wide scale, and nothing like it has been attempted since. In my research, I looked specifically at the mural painting that happened across the state of Minnesota. Over the decade of the New Deal, over 70 murals were created across the state. You can find these literally across the entire state of Minnesota, from Rochester and Wabasha all the way up to Ely and International Falls. You'll find these murals in post offices, schools, hospitals, town halls, any federal or public building. They tried to use mostly local artists if they could. Every artist that participated in one of the New Deal Arts projects had to qualify economically. Within the WPA Arts project, 90% had to be on relief. So this really was a work relief program, but at the same time there was a high level placed on the quality of the artwork. They wanted to create artwork that would mean something in the community and artwork that would last. One of the things that you'll definitely notice in looking at these murals is that they show very significantly themes of work. Strong efforts, communities gathering together to create this prosperous image of where work can take you. This is significant because of the time in which they were created. The Great Depression was the time of the nation's greatest unemployment, when a lot of these communities were really struggling. But to see images of work, put it visually there as in a place of prominence in the community, showing the roots of the community, and really showing that if the community could gather together, they really could get back to this place of prosperity. You don't see any images of struggle, any images of the great drought that was happening with the Dust Bowl. All of the agricultural scenes show this very prosperous view of agriculture and the bounty that surrounds them. So really showing an image of the good times to remember, even in this time when the nation was struggling. Community members would see these murals in their daily life. Every time they come to the post office, this is what they would see. It would remind them of the strong history, the origins of their local community. It would remind them of the importance of working hard, gathering together as a community. And these are all incredibly important themes, especially in that period of time. It shows the firm ground that other generations have stood on, and really that inspiration for the future, that good times will come again. In the murals that I studied that were created through these New Deal Arts projects across the state of Minnesota, less than 5% of them were created with a modern art style. One of the very interesting examples of one that was painted for the Faribault School of the Deaf. Was painted in more of a surrealist style. It shows a great giant hand being struck by bolts of lightning, and then in a second panel shows a rainbow coming out of that same hand. A much different style than you would see in any of the other post office murals, which tended to be much more traditional, much more realist in the way that they were portrayed. I would encourage people to go and check out these murals. Go and take a look in your local community, because these really are a living part of the history of our country, the history of our state. Not only in what they represent, but in what they mean in the context and the general scheme of why they were created at the time that they were created. By picturing the past with the scenes that they did, mural artists were not only glorifying great moments in the individual community or region's history, but they were also giving people a view of better times to give hope in the economic and social crisis of the Great Depression.
Winner of several musical awards and master of the pipe organ. Not usually the way you'd hear a teenager described, but that's reality for Austin teen Cale Ackerman. Showing an interest at an early age, Cale has grown up with a love of music. But don't be fooled. He's as at home in cowboy boots on his family farm as he is in a suit playing the pipe organ in church.
My art is playing the organ. I had always come to church every Sunday morning and listened to the organ, and I thought it was a really cool instrument to listen to our organist play something bombardous and loud. And I like loud things. I know I've already developed tinnitus because of it. It really takes some getting used to, because I switched over from the piano to the organ, and for me that was very challenging because you don't play the organ the same way you play a piano. I mean, it looks like it has the similar keys, and it does, but there's a totally different touch. It's really hard because each organ is different. You'll never find two of the same anywhere you play. And so you have to get used to that instrument and figure out what stops are where, or how many keyboards you're used to. And some of them have different pedal boards. They're just a little bit closer together, or they're not concave. And it is a challenge to get to learn to play the organ. Widor's Toccata from Symphony No. 5 that he wrote. And I first grabbed a hold of that piece by listening to it on YouTube by some old French guy. And I wanted to learn it, so I ordered the music. And this was a very young age for somebody to be learning Widor, as I found out later, and nonetheless memorized it. And I won the MMTA piano competition. I was a state winner. There was about 20 from each level. I did that 2 years. And the third and fourth year, I switched over to the organ portion of the competition. And I was fortunate enough to play it at Northrop Auditorium up in the cities at the U of M. So I got to play. I won that contest and was the selected soloist to play.
You know, that's when I guess we knew that he had the theory and the finesse and the motivation to really work at it. And before that, we knew he had the natural talent because he would pick out songs by ear on the piano with no music. And that's really what he loved to do. He was like other kids. He never wanted to practice piano, but he would sit down at the piano and play everything else. So in that way, he was pretty much a normal kid, and everybody always thought, oh, he must practice all the time, but he didn't practice his lesson. He practiced what he wanted to practice. But then when he won the competition, then I guess I thought, okay, maybe this will go somewhere.
You're the best I ever heard when you play the ragtime jazz. It makes me want to cuddle, I want to huddly buddle, I want to say skitty boo and razzmatazz.
It's kind of the sky's the limit right now. I mean, I could go any direction, really. I'd like to see them at least get the education part out of the way, and and then it gets fun.
I guess I really appreciate the people that have helped him grow, and helped us, look for places for him to go with his music.
There's been times where I've come into church to practice, be in my cowboy boots and the old button-up shirt and Wranglers. But being an organist at church, you have to dress up a little bit, and I don't mind doing it, so. Takes me a couple, 3 minutes to throw a suit and tie on, and off I go. I'm thinking if I could get a job at a church, then I could be an organist and direct church choirs. Two of my passions in music is choral and organ music. So if I could land a church job somewhere, that would be very nice. And the church is my second home, more or less, as my mom said. This is the toccata from Leon Bolman's Suite Gothique. It was written a long time ago, and it was in an old French cathedral, and it starts out very quiet with the trumpets, taka, 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 taka. It's a minor key, so if that tells you anything, it tells you that it's going to be not a happy selection, but it starts out with a very low melody in the pedal line, and it keeps building and building throughout the piece. It's a loud instrument, yes, but it can play very soft as well. And that's one thing I really like about the organ is the organ is basically an entire symphony orchestra, and you can pick and choose what you want to play or how you want them to play, and it's really cool to play them around with and get all the different sounds or all of them at once. It constantly builds and builds. It modulates keys, and it gets to this big growing point where we're piston pumping and letting the crescendo pedals up, and we're getting all of these stops at once together to finally create this very intense and epic ending of the piece until the very end, where we're just laying out these very painful and intense chords until the very last one resolves to a huge major chord. And that is music to my ears.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.